guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Happy spooky season, and today we are going to continue our 13 Spooky Books of October series. Today's book is Fairy Tale by Mr. Stephen King. So this is the third Stephen King that we are doing, the first one being Carrie, and then we did If It Bleeds, and then we've got this one, and we've got one more this month. So this book is not a horror novel. It's still spooky, because it's Stephen King, and Stephen King is inherently spooky, even with his quote-unquote spooky books. He's still very spooky, because that's just kind of his writing style. He has elements of horror in everything he does, even if it's more cerebral and less supernatural and less evil. There's a cat on my desk. This is Malcolm. He likes to help me read. I guess there's just a cat on the desk, so he can sit here as long as he doesn't cause problems. So this book came out in 2020. It is a dark fantasy. It's very much a good against evil kind of feel for a book. And it's Stephen King wrote it during the pandemic. And he asked himself, what would I want to read? What would I want to write that would make me happy? And so he likes fantasy. He enjoys fantasy. And so that's what he decided to write. The story features a young protagonist that tries to be a good person, tries to do service acts in the community. He's scared of this old man that lives in his neighborhood and his spooky house. His father's an alcoholic. He writes about the miracle of his father getting clean and how he promised that if God could get his father clean, he'd do something for God in return. And as he's coming home one day, he hears a dog whining and barking and carrying on at the spooky house of of Mr. Bowditch, and he goes closer to investigate. Why is the dog barking? What's going on? And then he hears Mr. Bowditch calling for help, and he gets an ambulance and takes care of him and takes care of the dog. After the ambulance comes and takes Mr. Bowditch away. You're very dangerous. Yes, very dangerous. I'm going to take my mouse away from you now. Yes, bite, bite. Bite, bite, bite. Okay. Are you done? Are you done, sir? He takes care of Mr. Bowditch's dog while Mr. Bowditch is in the hospital, and comes to learn the secrets to Mr. Bowditch's long life. He's actually over 120 years old. Thank you. In his tool shed, there's actually a portal in an old well to another realm, and the story takes place, the young boy goes on a quest. He falls in love with the old man's dog, and the dog gets seriously injured in an accident, and he wants to save the dog because he's 17. That's the best love he has in his life, is this dog that he's been taking care of. And he goes on a quest to, after Mr. Bowditch dies, he goes on a quest to try and save the dog, and he encounters all of these people, and I don't want to spoil anything, because this book is truly amazing. It's absolutely wonderful. To Mr. Stephen King, this book made me happy, and so reading it made me happy. I think mission accomplished on that. Hi. I think that this book is absolutely wonderful. I love the aspects in the writing. I love how visual and visceral it is. Like, it feels like you're there while you're reading it. It's very incisive. It's very engrossing. There were times while I was reading where I forgot that I was reading, which is the highest praise I can ever give to a book, where I forget that I'm not some benign observer in this universe watching what's going on, that I'm actually a real person in the real world, boring as it may be. And the ending is so good. So many people give Stephen King crap for his endings. This one, the ending, I think, is really, really good. So, have you read Fairy Tale? Do you like Stephen King? I think if you don't like Stephen King, you'll like fairy tale because it's different. It's very different. Even though there are those supernatural elements and those horror elements, it's not the whole story. So I think it's fantastically done. Fantastic is the best word, and not just that it's amazing, but also that it's fantasy driven. So, what do you think of horror elements in non horror books? Are you a fan? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy spooky season! Bye!